Good afternoon and welcome to Live at 12:05 here at the Isle of Wight County Museum. I'm Jennifer England, the director. Thank you for tuning in. So today I am right over here in front of our Blackwater River exhibit. And since the colonial era, Isle of Wight County has been noted for its natural resources. And today we're going to talk a little bit about trees. So just as an aside, a lot of times here at the museum we end up going down rabbit holes because we're looking for something or we're looking at something in the collection and learning a little bit more about it. And then we end up discovering something that we just didn't know that we didn't know before. And so that's one of those little adventures I'm going to take you on today. So we're definitely talking about trees and just all of the natural resources here in Isle of Wight County. But we need to get to some history first. So in the 17th and 18th centuries, longleaf pine trees and other mixed flatwoods were abundant in the Blackwater River basin, and colonists were felling those trees for use for fuel, construction, shipbuilding materials, barrels, that kind of thing. And naval stores, that's your turpentine, your pitch, and your tar. Those are the liquid products that are derived from conifers that were used for protecting and repairing all those wooden ships. And in the colonial era, all of our waterways were our highways for transportation, and they were really, the baseline of that colonial economic engine. So there was a massive need for a lot of these products. In fact, from 1700 to 1840, the production of naval stores in Virginia had peaked, and Norfolk was exporting thousands of tons of these products every year. And undoubtedly, a lot of those were coming from here in Isle of Wight County. But lumbering was one of the earliest industries in Isle of Wight County, and camp manufacturing, which started in 1878 on the east bank of the Blackwater River. Of course, there were other lumbering businesses and mills throughout the county as well. But the Surrey Lumber Company, chartered in 1885, it was often called the Company by its employees, but they were cutting timber in Surrey and Sussex and Southampton and Isle of Wight County too. So when the company closed, Camp Mills bought many of their lumber tracts, and there are plenty of images in our collection about the movement of all of that lumber that they were processing. So on the water, via land, on trains. In fact, the railroad really did aid greatly in bringing prosperity to rural Virginia. So now that we've set the stage here, let's talk a little bit about the American black walnut tree. That's a deciduous tree native to Central and Eastern North America. And the wood is easily worked and the nuts are cultivated for consumption, and even those shells can be used sometimes in cleaners. Break up those shells and use them in very abrasive cleaners. In fact, today if you visit Fort Boykin, you can see Virginia's second largest black walnut tree inside the fort right on the parade ground. It is big. We're not sure exactly how old it is, but it was definitely around during the time of the Civil War when the fort was used, of course, as a fort and then again as a signaling station. We were doing a little bit of research and we just discovered this image that you see here. It was published in 1929 in The Mentor. That was an early 20th century educational magazine. It was actually billed as a wise and faithful guide and friend. Very eclectic magazine. But the image, as you can see, shows a very large black walnut stump, much like that stump out, or the tree that's out there at Fort Boykin. But the caption says that because of its durability, it was a favorite material for rail fences, cabinet wood, gun stocks, and airplane propellers. So during World War I, the country was kind of combed for specimens still standing here and there on farmers' woodlots and elsewhere. And the butt of the trunk, where the roots begin to spread out, is generally the most valuable part of the tree, because here is often found the beautiful figure prized in the making of veneer. And you can see how huge this tree was, much taller than the guy standing there. This huge stump was found near Smithfield, Virginia, and it was sold for $3,800. It was 10 feet in diameter, and it weighed 30,000 pounds. So if you will permit me a bad pun, that is unbelievable. I'm sorry. We were very curious about the stump, so we did a little bit more digging, and it turns out that this $3,800 stump had a few other folks scratching their heads as well. Because 4 years later, in December of 1933, this article ran on the front page of the Smithfield Times. And I'll just read that to you. So it says, County Walnut Stump bought $3,800, question mark. J.B. Jones, local postmaster, has received a newspaper picture and clipping from S.E. Rockwell, Polleysville, Connecticut, showing a black walnut stump, which is said to have been sold near Smithfield, Virginia for $3,800. Mr. Rockwell, as well as Mr. Jones, is anxious to learn who sold a stump around here for so much money. Unfortunately, all of our other research did not provide any other articles or letters to answer those questions for us or Mr. Jones, presumably. However, our good friend, John Edwards, publisher emeritus of the Smithfield Times, he pulled out his copy of The Company. And this book is a book all about the Surrey Lumber Company's history. And inside this book, there is this photo. And so there's no date on it, but the caption reads that this was possibly one of the largest logs ever cut by the company, and the fact that someone saw fit to photograph it indicates that. So while this image may or may not show the actual log from where our mystery stump came from, John Edwards and I we're hedging our bets, and we're saying that it most likely was. But of course, this whole story does remind us about how very important Isle of Wight County's natural resources have been and continue to be to the county's story. So thank you so much for tuning in today to our little stump mystery story. But I will leave you all with this. Be like a tree today, stay grounded, keep growing. And definitely thank you so much for tuning in to Live at 12:05. You guys take care, and we will see you again next week. Bye-bye.